The beautiful Mediterranean Sea. At the heart of the Mediterranean are the Maltese Islands, Malta, Gozo and Camino. The Maltese coastline has many gems. Some are well known and often feature on holiday postcards. Others, though, are less well known, even to the locals. This is Mgarr in Gozo. It's a small inlet and gorge backed by a spectacular valley, which runs from the sea right up to the village of Shaukia with its massive church. The steep profile and walls of the valley support a lush green haven in an otherwise arid summer countryside. The beach at Mgarr is unusual for the Maltese Islands as it's made of shingle with lots of pebbles and cobbles. There's also a grand-looking coastal tower guarding the entrance to the creek at Mgarr. It's the largest of its kind in Gozo and was built as a lookout post in 1661. That's because Turkish pirates regularly made their way to Gozo and used Mgarr as their harbour. Here, hundreds of Gozodans were forced to board ships as slaves. In fact, things were so bad that in 1551, almost the entire population of Gozo was driven into slavery. Mgarr is still a secluded spot, but it's ideal for swimming and is a very popular and attractive dive site. The first thing divers at Mgarr come across is this small rock. It rises around 2 stories above the surface of the sea and marks the outermost boundary of the Mgarr Marine Protected Area. And if we head towards the bottom of the rock, we're welcomed by this lone resident, a spiny lobster whose heavy antennae are even longer than his body. The species is considered a delicacy in the Mediterranean, and this unfortunately has fueled its intensive exploitation. At Fesse Rock, it's not just the animal life which is fascinating, but also the vegetation, such as this underwater rose garden, populated by coralline red algae. The sea at Mgarr is full of life. The damselfish is one of the most common residents of Maltese nearshore waters. The dull black colour of the adults does little justice to the bright neon blue of the fry, which normally hatch towards the end of July. This banded sea perch seems overwhelmed by all the traffic of damselfish fry coming his way. This Steenbras is looking for lunch and he's not in a mood to waste time, so between one excavation and another, he uses his mouth as a sieve, dumping back any sand while on the go. Other fish prefer vegetation for lunch, such as this shoal of salimas. This sea hare is also a grazer, picking its salad of brown algae. And it smells using a pair of organs which look like rhino horns. Despite its docile appearance, this starfish is a predator and a carnivore, and this one is on the prowl. A scorpionfish has mastered the art of ambushing. This common two-banded sea bream is exploiting the work of these striped red mullet, nitpicking any small crustaceans which are unearthed. This wide-eyed flounder wants to share in the bonanza. No, this is not the Caribbean or the Red Sea or an aquarium, but Maltese coastal waters, where saddled sea bream envelope divers within a feeding frenzy. This large school of saddled sea bream is hungry, and they'll abandon their normal cautious approach to become much more enterprising just to obtain some food. The one creature which has really mastered the camouflage strategy is the octopus. Just by extending its arms and its body, the octopus tries to impress and to daunt its chaser, and when this fails, it hides. Perfectly blending in with its surroundings within seconds, its agility is such that it can alternate very easily between flight to putting up a fight. Now, guess whose footprint, or rather trail, this is? It's just a clumsy hermit crab. The large black spots on this flounder are meant to intimidate potential predators by giving the impression that they're the eyes of a much larger fish. This phenomenon, where an animal tries to give the impression that it's actually something else, is known as mimetism. In the flounder larvae, the eyes are typically located on the side of its head. Once they're mature and they flatten out, both eyes end up next to each other on the same side of the body, since the head effectively disappears. This shows how the fish has adapted over time. He spends his life flattened against the seabed, and danger only comes from above. But it also means that the flounder is blind to what happens underneath him. This common stingray seems to glide effortlessly over the seabed, seeking deeper waters at the end of summer. But at the end of the day, ix-Xini is weaver territory, proving their claim to the creek through sheer numbers. During the day, weavers bury themselves in the sand, just showing their eyes, and they snatch prey as it comes past. Prey normally consists of shrimps or small fish. Weavers are unusual as they don't have a swim bladder, which means that they sink as soon as they stop actively swimming. Polychites are responsible for what might look like mini volcanoes. These are dug to allow worms to burrow in the sand. Just look at this never-ending fireworm. He would make a centipede look short, with hundreds of paired legs. Normally, carnivores win in battles against herbivores, but this sea cucumber is in no mood to be pushed around. He's grazing on a dense meadow of brown algae. Like green algae, brown algae are sun worshippers. They dominate shallow rocky seabeds, and some of them, like this one, carry air-filled bladders to help them colonize uncharted territories. The marine protected area offers yet another shorter creek at Touch Inch. This creek holds a plethora of fish species, like this needlefish. These are fast swimmers. They skim near the surface of the sea before darting out of sight. Someone else who likes to hide in the caves and crevices during the day is this moray eel. He prefers to hunt at night, and amazingly has 2 pairs of jaws to help him swallow his prey. These are amazing. Seahorses embody the fragility of the ecosystem at Mgarr. Seahorses seem to trust visitors, as they don't swim away. But this makes them extremely vulnerable. Let's repay that trust by conserving their home. These graceful creatures are short-snout seahorses, which fascinate observers with their graceful movements. They are in fact really poor swimmers, partly because they don't have a tail fin, which practically makes them rudderless, and they use their little sea snouts to suck up food. Their eyes can move independently of each other, just like those of a chameleon. Despite its small size, as we've seen, Mgarr is a treasure trove of marine biodiversity. Its small size is an asset in itself, since it can be easily monitored and managed. The diversity within Maltese coastal waters is being appreciated by an increasing number of human observers, including divers and snorkelers who visit our waters to feast their eyes as you've just done. That's why it's so important to protect these waters for future generations.